Hi everyone, in this video we will show you how to create a Firebase project and register an app. This is the setup we need before connecting Firebase authentication to our Expo React Native project. By starting this, we need to go to the Firebase console in Google. So you just search that and here is what you will expect to see. And here in this page, you just click this get started. And then by creating a project, let's start with, so in our case, our project name is authentication sample. And you just click this and then let's click continue. For the Google Analytics, let's not enable that for now. And let's create project. Let's click create project. And it is finishing up. And it says that our Firebase project is ready. So let's click continue. And here is what you will see. Okay. So to be able to add our app, let's click add app here. And then we will not click Android, or I will not click Android or Apple or iOS. And instead, we will click the web app since we did our sample app in React Native JS Expo. So let's click this web, and to be able to add Firebase to our web app, we will add our nickname. This is just a label to identify the app. Let's just name it as sample. We will not enable the Firebase hosting for this app since this is just a sample. So for now, let's keep Firebase hosting disabled because Expo doesn't need it for now. So let's just proceed to register. And the Firebase shows a config code block here. Firebase will now show our web app configuration. So this is the config object that we will copy later on into our Expo React Native project when we initialize Firebase. These are the API keys that our app needs so it can connect to this exact Firebase project. So what is the importance of copying these APIs? It is important because without them, the app won't know where to send login requests or where to get authentication data. So to copy these keys, you want to just click the copy button on the right top right of this code block, and we will paste this config inside our app when we already initialize Firebase. Now we will be proceeding to continue to the console. So let's click this continue to the console button, and we will be enabling Firebase authentication. So to be able to do that, just go to this menu, build, and then click authentication. So let's click get started, and let's enable email and password or any method we need. So for the email, the providers will be Google. Let's enable this. So for the Google, we just need to put a public facing name for the project and the support email. So in my case, I put my personal email here, and then let's click save. And that is all for the setting up of the Firebase console and as well as the setting up of authentication.
Hello there. So after creating the Firebase project and after adding your app there, so the Firebase will provide a code or the Firebase configuration code that contains the API keys or the keys that it needs for your app to be able to access or fetch between the emails and the passwords to be able to have a functionable and smooth flow when it comes in login and sign in. But before that, for this React project, you will firstly need to create a folder for the Firebase and name it Firebase. And then after that, create a TypeScript file named Firebase. And after that, you need to import the initialize app and then get out, initialize out, and out for able to initialize the authentication when it starts. And then before that, after you proceed, you need to install first the Firebase app by just going to the terminal and then type cmd and just npm install Firebase to have a node package manager or have a library or packages to be able to utilize the Firebase by itself. And then after that, you uh, can import what you need to import when utilizing Firebase. After that, we will able to have the async storage. So it is important. Why? Because you need to integrate it because it is the app's local storage or the cache. And then after that, you need to create the Firebase configuration. Like what I said in the earlier, you need to paste your API key, out domain, project ID, storage bucket, messaging sender ID, app ID, and measurement ID. So after creating the constant variable of the Firebase configuration, you need to declare another variable which is the app and call the initialize app, the function, and then put in the Firebase configuration to to uh, to initialize the app. And then next is we need to create a let out and has the out here. We're letting the out or declaring a variable out here. And then after that, we will create a if and else condition. So if not get out that length, then out is equal to get out up. We are declaring a let out to be able to revalue the value of the out. That's the purpose of let. And then after that, if else, and then we have a trying catch here that const get react persistence require Firebase out, which is the library or the package, and then out is equal to initialize out. We will call again the we will call now the initialize out function and then input the app, comma, and have the persistence get React persistence as in storage. So the purpose of this one is to be able to store locally in your storage of your phone, and then it will transfer the data also in the Firebase to have a uh, secured and also your account will not be able to remove or it is stored locally and also in the Firebase. That's the purpose of this one. And after that, if something happens or troubleshoot, it will go again to the get code. And especially the important of it, The very important for this part is you need to export it to be able to call for the specific usage. So that is the Firebase TypeScript file. After that, we will now proceed to the app. Navigate the app folder and create two folders for auth and home. And then after creating it, you need first to navigate the layout. It is provided by the React once you create it. For able to utilize it or for able to know it, you need to watch my recent video about how to create your first project in React Native. Just scroll down my YouTube and you will see it. And to proceed now, we will now move on in our layout. Layout is the root layout or the layout for the whole. So definitely we have the function for the root layout. We have the imports. We have the cons in it and set in it. So the use state is used for declaring something with variable and has the function of it. So the purpose of it is you need to call it always true, but setting it set initialize, then you can manipulate the use state. You can transfer the value of true into false. That's the purpose of use state. And then we have the user, set user, use state any, and null. And then we have a const logo for the logo. And then width and height for the window. For the This is for the logo. And then use effect, we are utilizing use effect to run it depending on the array's rendering. And then we have the const unsub, and then we call the out state change, out current user. We have a parameter current user, and then set user current user. After that, if it is set the current user, which is the here, then it will set timeout in it to 3 seconds. This is for the rendering, or it's for the splash screen. This is the purpose of the splash screen. And then it will return the unsub, and it has no value to receive. And after that, we will create a if condition for the initialize. If initialize, then it will return for the logo. It will show the logo, and after that, the activity indicator or the loading. And then we have here the stack or the screen options. We set it to false to be able to have no header here at the top. And then we have a if user, then it will go home. If not, it will go to out. So particularly the purpose of this ternary condition is if the user is if the user log in or he managed to close the app, then definitely it will stay logged in. And if it not, then it will go to out. So that is the purpose for this one. And then if the page is not exist or does not exist, it will show not found. So this is the not found is for if the pages does not exist, it will fall back or it will call back for this page. Next is I will not able to explain for this one. It's very basic. Next, we will create a home. We're just creating a layout for you to be able to navigate it for the main layout. As you can see, we have the home. It will go here to the home and manage to track the layout, the nested layout, and then it will go here to be able to render the XML or the UI of the home screen. Okay. Then, as you can see, we have the out folder that has the login and the sign in, also the layout nested again to render the two UIs, and this is the login. So as you can see, we have the imports. We have the function of the login screen. We have the use state. So the use state that has a string quotation blank is for to be able the user will input, then he will manage to input all the inputs, it will go here. So that's the purpose of the use state with string. Then show password for the toggle menu view password, and this is the logic const logic asynchronous function. So uh, a little brief information about the synchronous function. So it will definitely async, or it will asynchronize the function of it even without interaction. It will automatically. It is the difference between the synchronous and asynchronous. Then we have a try and catch here. And when we use the Firebase function, which is the sign in with email and password, we will we will implement the oath that we used to create here in the Firebase recently, and then input the email and the password. So the purpose of it will store the user input email and pass to the con's email. After that, it will transfer it in the code. So that is the purpose of the function of sign in with email password of the Firebase. And after that, it will await. The purpose of await, it needs to wait the sign in with email password to functionalize or to behave. After behaving it, after waiting it, it will proceed, or after finishing the execution of this part of code, it will proceed to the router that replace, or it will go to the home screen. If there's any troubleshoot or unwanted scenario or errors, it will alert login invalid, or invalid email or password, or once the email is not satisfied, and then the password also. After that, we will now proceed to the XML. So this is the XML. We will return the XML by itself, the keyboard avoiding view, the image background, the the title, the image background, which is the, okay, you will view it once I run it. So this is the inputs, this is the inputs, this is the button, which is the login button, and this is the login for you to be able, if you clicked it, it will navigate to the router. The router will move you to the sign in. So let's proceed for the sign in. So same thing to the login. It has a use states. So it has a four use states, which is name, email, password, and confirm password. And also the toggle menu functionality, which is the show password. So I always almost forgot the show password is here. Okay, you need to set it and input the show pass variable. So that's the basic logic for that thing. And then we'll now proceed again to the sign in. So same thing to the email. It just extended for the logic because it is for sign in. So it has a sign up logic, asynchronous function, and then we have a if condition here that pass is not equal to confirm pass, and then it will alert invalid password does not match, and it will return to zero or return none. So the purpose for it, if the user managed to input different pass, it will prompt the alert. It is like a toast on the Android. And then after the block of after the block is being executed, of if the block is not executed, it will go to the try and catch. It has a cons user credits or await create user with email and password. For this block, it will now create your account. It will store the user inputs email and password to the Firebase and also to the local storage of your app. And then it will await update profile use cred user display name. So the purpose of it, after creating your account, your home screen will update and it will input your name on there. So later on, I will uh, present to you the actual app. And then next, we have the catch. If something bug occur, then it will show it, or if the sign in is invalid. So this is the XML. Same thing, same thing on the login. We just have four inputs here, and then we have the touch able opacity. When we click, it will go back to the sign to the login. So now, after discussing it, we will now show the actual UI or the user interface or the app. Okay, we just simply run a terminal here and then type cmd and npx expo start. We will just wait for the React Native to compile all the inputs or all the codes to be able to run it. And after running it, it will provide a scan. So the user or the developer will have now the ability to scan it wireless. Or if you want to run it to your developer mode, you will just simply input your USB charge or your charger port. We will just wait. Okay, now it is now running. The server is now on, and then just press A to open in the Android. As you can see here, is the Vault splash screen. Just wait. So this is the splash screen. It reloads 3 seconds, and then it will go to the login. So as you can see, this is the login of my app. This is for the app for the tutorial, and then after that, the email, the password, and so on. Then we will navigate to the sign up. As you can see, this is the sign up. This is the toggle view button for the password. So let's try to create an account. Let's try to input admin gmail.com and admin123. So then admin123. Okay. So after that, we will now create. It will go to the login. So we just simply input the created account, gmail.com, then admin123. So that's the basic tutorial for the integration of Firebase on your React Native project or for your React authentication. So that's all for today, and thank you for listening. If you managed to learn something for today, you need to start your own app. That's all. Thank you.